The wind howled across the Bering Sea, biting through layers of jackets and face masks, but Emily Riedel stood tall on the deck of her dredge, eyes locked on the endless horizon. The water was dark and heavy, the kind that hid secrets older than memory. She'd spent years fighting this sea, losing sleep, money, and sometimes hope, yet something about this morning felt different. The sonar had picked up a strange anomaly beneath the ice shelf, a signal that pulsed like a heartbeat from the ocean floor. Her crew gathered around her, breath visible in the freezing air. Jackson, the veteran diver, adjusted his mask and grinned nervously. "Emily, you sure this is worth diving for? That current's a killer." She nodded without hesitation. "Every risk we take out here could be the one that changes everything. Let's see what's hiding under that shelf." Engines roared as they lowered the dredge hose into the icy blackness. The cables groaned, the winch strained, and the water churned like a living thing. The sea always fought back. It never gave up its treasures easily. Jackson and Mara slipped beneath the surface, their lights flickering in the deep blue. Static crackled through the radio. "Visibility's terrible down here," Jackson reported. "Can't see more than a few feet ahead." Emily's voice came through firm but calm. "Stay steady. Follow the sonar. We're picking up metallic readings about 30 feet east." Minutes dragged into an hour. Then Mara's voice broke through the comms, breathless with excitement. "Emily, I see something. Something reflecting light." Emily leaned over the railing, heart pounding. "Describe it." It looks like a box, big, half buried in the silt." Emily didn't hesitate. She suited up and descended into the freezing water, her breath echoing inside her helmet. The world turned silent, except for the thrum of her own heartbeat. The light from her headlamp cut through the murk, revealing shapes in the sand and coral stone, and then metal. The object was real. A large chest, iron-bound, coated in rust and time. The divers hovered around it like archaeologists before a tomb. Emily brushed her gloved hand over the surface, feeling the faint ridges of carved markings. "We're lifting it," she said. Her tone was steady, but her pulse raced. "Get the straps under." "Go slow." The winch cable descended. Together, they secured the box and signaled the crew above. The chest rose from the seabed, breaking free of centuries of silence. As it ascended through the murky water, small trails of bubbles danced around it, like the sea itself was exhaling its secret. When it finally reached the deck, the crew surrounded it in awe. The chest thudded onto the steel floor, dripping seawater. Captain Reyes whistled low. "Looks old." "Real old." The engineer Lee scanned it with his sensor and raised an eyebrow. "This isn't scrap metal. There's dense content inside. High-density readings. Could be gold." Emily stared at the chest, her breath catching. "All right," she said softly. "Open it." They pried at the corroded hinges until the lid gave way with a groan that sounded almost alive. A beam of pale daylight hit the inside, and every jaw dropped. Bars of gold stacked in uneven layers glistened beneath a film of seawater. Coins rolled out, clinking against the deck, each one shining with a dull, ancient glow. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Then Jackson whispered, "We did it." Emily reached down, lifting one of the gold bars with both hands. It was heavier than she imagined, the cold metal biting into her gloves. She turned it toward the light, reading the faint stamp still visible on the surface, an old mint mark long forgotten. Lee's voice trembled as he spoke. That's pure gold. Each bar could be worth $500,000, maybe more. There are hundreds of them." Captain Reyes stepped closer. "You're talking—" "What, 20 million? Lee shook his head slowly. "Try 40, maybe 45. This isn't just treasure. This is history." Emily felt her knees weaken. For years she'd chased dreams through storms and failures. Now under her boots lay $40 million worth of gold, hidden beneath frozen waters for generations. She looked at her crew, tears freezing at the corners of her eyes. "We did it," she said quietly. "We really struck gold." That night the dredge was alive with excitement. Laughter echoed through the small quarters. The crew couldn't stop staring at the chest, now secured under lock and guard. "This is it, Emily," Mara said with a grin. "We can all retire." Emily shook her head with a small smile. "Retire? Not yet. There's more out there. If this was hidden, there could be others." Jackson leaned back in his chair. "Do you realize the chaos this is going to cause? The government's going to want to look. The press will swarm us and claim jumpers will crawl out of nowhere. Emily nodded. Then we'll handle it the right way. We found it fair and square. But this isn't just about money. It's about discovery. By dawn, helicopters buzzed overhead. News crews arrived on the nearest icebreaker, their cameras trained on Emily's vessel. Reporters shouted over the wind, "Is it true you found 40 million in gold?" Emily faced them calmly. "We've recovered a cache of gold and artifacts from the seafloor. We're verifying its history and ownership before making any declarations." Another voice shouted, "Was it a shipwreck? Who did it belong to?" Emily smiled faintly. "That's what we're going to find out." Every piece of gold has a story. Days later, under supervision from the Coast Guard, the team returned to the site. As divers explored the area around the discovery point, more clues surfaced. Fragments of timber, rusted tools, and shattered cargo crates. "Looks like a ship went down here," Mara reported. "Maybe mid-1800s. Emily floated beside her, scanning the seabed. "A lost trade route, maybe. Or a smuggler's ship. Either way, we found its heart. The artifacts were carefully recovered and sent for analysis. Historians and scientists examined the gold, identifying coins from Russia, Britain, and early American mints. One expert traced a few pieces to shipments rumored lost during Arctic trade expeditions before Alaska's purchase. The find wasn't just about wealth. It rewrote maritime history. When Emily appeared on national television weeks later, the world was listening. The interviewer smiled. "Emily Riedel, you've been chasing gold for years. How does it feel to finally find a $40 million treasure?" Emily leaned forward, hands clasped. "It feels like vindication. For every storm we survived, every failure we endured. But it's also humbling. The ocean still holds secrets we can't even imagine." The host pressed, "What's next for you?" She smiled. "Going back out there. Because where there's one treasure, there's another waiting." Back on the Bering Sea, the wind roared again, colder than before, yet it carried a strange kind of warmth, the warmth of victory. The Eroica cut through waves, heading toward a new horizon. Emily stood at the bow, hair whipping in the freezing gusts, her gaze fixed ahead. The gold was safe, locked away and catalogued, but her mind was already back beneath the waves. Jackson joined her, hands shoved in his pockets. "You could cash out, you know. Live easy for the rest of your life." Emily laughed softly. "And miss this?" She pointed to the sea stretching endlessly before them. "This is home. The thrill isn't the gold, it's the chase," he smiled. "You really think there's more down there?" She looked at him, eyes blazing with the same fire that had carried her through every storm. "I don't think, Jackson, I know. The sea only gives what it chooses, and it's not done talking yet." As the dredge pushed deeper into the mist, the sun broke through for the first time in days, scattering gold across the water's surface. For a fleeting moment, it looked as though the ocean itself was reflecting her discovery. Billions of tiny golden lights dancing on the waves. The radio crackled to life with the captain's voice. "Coordinates set. Ready for next dive." Emily smiled, tightening her grip on the railing. "Let's do it again." And with that, the engines thundered to full power, the ship slicing through ice and fog toward another mystery waiting below. Somewhere under that frozen frontier, more gold slept in silence, and Emily Riedel, the woman who refused to quit, was already on her way to find it.